Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Coffee and Cannoli podcast, joined once again by the whole crew of RLG Cast over here. And it's not a wrestling episode. This time it's a gaming episode, and we're doing best video game sequels. With me, we have Campo, we have Putty, and we have Caps. Welcome everybody. So with this list, most of the we want to stick to our number twos. So Campo, I'm going to have you start.
Okay, so on my number five here.
Resident Evil 2. Peace out, y'all.
Wow.
Hey.
Okay.
All right. See ya, Caps.
Caps has spoken.
Caps has spoken.
So for my number list, I'm just gonna say it. I went, even with my honorable mentions, I only have number twos. I did not stray away from number twos. So
I did do some 2, 3s.
So, yeah, I'm not saying you had to. I just felt more comfortable doing this. When I opened the door to the possibilities of sequel, I was like, no, I don't want to do that. That's too much.
That'll be too much.
So, okay, my number 5 is Caps, and I have Chrono Cross and GTA 2. Gran Turismo 2.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Buddy,
go
ahead.
I do want to go off the same thing. I was the same way, but what I did was I said what was the best thing, but then the better games came later. So you'll see what I mean. So for example, my number 5 is Caps as well. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, and Silent Hill 2.
Not Resident Evil 2.
No, Evil 2.
My number 5 is Caps as well, and it's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 and Mass Effect 2.
Yeah, I like that.
2 of them can go off from my honorable mentions.
Well, here we go, because I'm about to scrap one off yours too, Putty. My number 4 is Caps, then I have no more Caps after this. It's Sonic 2 and Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. Sonic 2 is epic.
No, that's funny you say that, because my number 4 is Caps as well. And it's Fallout 3 and Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Whoa! We had a link to everybody's list from that one.
You're gonna laugh, because my number 4 is also Cap with Uncharted 2 and Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
We're gonna clap for Sonic 2 here. Like,
Sonic 2 needs all the love.
Sonic 2 is one of the greatest sequels ever made.
It is. Oh my god! It's what made me like that. I love Sonic, but when Sonic 2 came out, that's what made me a hardcore fan.
Just the introduction of even. He looks like a useless character, but Tails makes that game.
Oh yeah, my friends come over carrying me around with Tails, like that flying.
Just hearing Tails' voice in the trailer for the new movie, I was like, oh my god.
Oh, they got the original actress. That's right.
Yeah. And it was the best choice. To pick her was the best choice. Okay, so I'm on number 3.
Mm-hmm.
My number 3 is Arkham City, Batman Arkham City.
Okay, my number 3 is actually Grand Theft Auto 3.
That's a good choice.
Revolutionized the game.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I did that. Yep.
And my number 3, Campo, is the same as yours, and it's Arkham City.
Nice.
Arguably the best Batman game.
Yeah, don't argue with Putty though, because
I saw him better, but that's fine. Go ahead.
I know. My number 2 is BioShock 2. I feel like nobody was not expecting that to be on my list.
You knew that was going to be there.
Yeah. All right. My number 2 is Street Fighter 2.
Surprisingly, not on my list.
Well, not surprised at all. That is on my. Wait, no, go ahead.
My number 2 is Portal 2.
Excellent game.
That's my.
I am not erasing anything off my honorable mentions. From now on, I'm talking about my honorable mentions. So
I'll keep that.
My number 1 is the best sequel ever made. I'm still playing it till this day. It's Diablo 2.
Okay, well, my number 1 is they should the number 3 doesn't even tap this with my eyes, but. Or number 2, however you want to look at it. Anyway, it's Red Dead Redemption 1. Because it is a sequel. I'm just going to say that.
It's not enough of a sequel for me, or it would have been on my list.
Nah.
But you are right. I will not argue that at all.
But the sequel is a prequel, which, whatever. So technically,
I guess, right.
Because the sequel is a prequel, Red Dead Redemption is the sequel to Red Dead Redemption 2?
Oh God, that's.
Can we argue that?
Hold on. My brain just hurt on that one.
Right?
No more.
Wait, does that mean Red Dead Revolver is the more mainstream, and Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2 is?
Does that mean Red Dead Revolver comes out after Red Dead?
So are we going to get Red Dead Revolver new again?
I have no idea. But my number 1 is not actually the second game in the series; it's the third, and this one's the only one that deviates from it, and that's Super Mario Brothers 3.
Hey,
I agree on that 100%.
Good choice. Once again, I'm sticking only to 2, so
yeah, I couldn't not mention Mario Brothers.
I'm not mad about that at all.
Yeah.
I really thought process. I have a few Mario games on here that were close.
Yeah.
But I have thought about Mario 2 for a while, and then I was like, no.
Doki Doki Panic.
Yeah. Doki Doki Panic's better.
Yes, it is.
So are we just open now?
It's opening it up because there's so many sequels out there.
I'm going to drop my honorable mentions. It's a caps, but these are like true honorable mentions. Silent Hill 2 and Super Metroid.
Yes, good choice with those.
Like Super Metroid is such an underappreciated game in the climate of nowadays gaming. I don't think it's underrated or underappreciated in the grand scheme of gaming, but I think modern gamers don't know how good this game was. It's absolutely amazing. It's one of the first games you could go back.
I still go back to it. If I can get an emulator or anything like that, that game is so amazing.
Most games of that era, though, were side-scrolling and there was a wall. In Metroid, I was
the
like,
invisible
you better
wall.
go back and find what you missed.
Or else you're not beating the boss. Yeah.
I mean, Castlevania had that too.
Yeah, that's why the genre is called Metroidvania.
Yeah.
My honorable mention, it's capped as well, and these are true honorable mentions, and that's Mega Man 2 and the OG Battlefront 2.
I had Mega
Star
Man
Wars
2.
Battlefront 2.
That's a really good choice. I didn't think of that.
Well, I'll say this since you guys named two, my two top honorable mentions were Portal 2 and The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past.
Yeah.
And
so
let me explain the Portal thing.
Yeah,
I just really have to jump in there and say this.
Yeah.
I love Portal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Portal 2 by far does have better, but the reason it did not make my list and would have is Portal 2 would have made number one if I felt it was like way above better than the first Portal. There was so much love for the first Portal game that when Portal 2 came out, I loved it so much. But when I was making this list, I was like, is Portal 2 that much better than Portal 1? And I don't feel it is. It's got those better mechanics, like the slide, like when you put the liquid down
the putty
Oh,
to the slide or the bouncing. Yeah. Stuff like that was really cool. And the storyline was really funny. But what made me really like the first one is I felt the second one shied pushed too much more to humor. And the second one had the humor, but it had more of a darker approach. So it felt like Portal 1 was more scarier.
Come on, J.K. Simmons as Cave Johnson?
No, I mean, yeah. I mean, but you get what I'm saying. There's a lot of humor in Portal 2 that didn't give its scary factor as much as the first one in my eyes. You know what I mean? And you know me about how much I love my scary games. So it got the honorable mention because it is such a fantastic game, but it didn't feel like it pushed as much as being a major game than the other ones, if that makes sense. So.
And Portal really is a spin-off of another great one is Half-Life 2.
Yep.
That was what I was going to say. So I think we don't really need to talk about those. So I'm actually going to delete these off.
I'm doing that too.
I want to talk about Zelda 2, which is
Link's Awakening.
Mm-hmm. It's a kind of, I won't say it's underrated, but people forget about it.
No.
Yeah, a lot of people forget
about
Zelda.
A Link to the Past, not a lot of people remember A Link to the Past.
Because
not Link to the Past, sorry.
Because of the way the
Link's
game,
Awakening.
If you ask most Zelda people, they remember top-down Zelda and then Zelda 64. They don't remember side-scrolling Zelda, which is this whole new world, and it kind of lost popularity a little bit. But it's
and that damn Shadow Link. Oh my god.
Like for what it did at becoming a side-scrolling game from what it was, I think it does a good job. It's on my list, and I think that's a really good sequel.
But it alternates. Some is top.
Yeah,
I think the overworld is top down, and then when you get to towns, dungeons, whatever, it's side-scrolling. And
when you're crawling, it's side-scrolling.
Yeah. And I would agree to that too. I would put that like as great a game as Link's Awakening is as a true number 2 sequel. I would say Link's Awakening. Zelda 2, right?
Link's Awakening.
Well, see, that was the thing. That's the reason why I did Link to the Past, because I love Link's Awakening. But like when you went from the original Legend of Zelda to a Link to the Past, it was amazing. Like A Link to the Past, I played so much of that game that to this day now it's one of those things. Even though I know it's iconic, but I remember to this day that every single time I play a Link game, I'm looking for a chicken. I want to see if I can get the infamous chickens just going crazy at you. So the thing, A Link to the Past was one of those games that. It took what was great about the first Legend of Zelda game and then just upped the ante so much and showed what Super Nintendo itself, the power it had behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So It was one of those. That's the reason why. Yeah, there's a lot more other Zelda games out there, but the way I did my list was sequels that surpassed the first game and was the most recent one to surpass.
Well, what I did is I only have number 2, so
Yeah.
that's why I'm not mentioning it.
I
If I was going to tell you Majora's Mask is the best sequel to Zelda, or Breath of the Wild, probably.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like Grand Theft Auto, you can't, like 1 and 2 basically are the same, but then when you jump from 3, there's such a major.
But to me, in my thing, I agree with you about the jump, but I think Vice City is the pinnacle of it because it was the expansion of the game to show what it really could do before we got to San Andreas, where it was like, wow, this all you could do this.
Right. But
that was like the point of like proving it, because
you can go in the water. You can go in the water now. You can fly vehicles.
I agree with you, buddy. Though I'm not discrediting your thing.
Yeah. But that's the reason. I'm just saying how I did my list. It was
I agree.
I
agree.
Now,
go. JD didn't even get one yet. Okay.
No. I said my Mega Man 2, Half-Life 2.
Mega Man 2 is a good choice.
Yeah.
Half-Life 2.
I would say, going back to what we were saying too, in terms of like Zelda games, going back to Zelda, I hate to go back to Zelda again, but like the Zelda games just seem like the more they come out, the better they become. And they may not be as well received when they come out, but down the line, they are truly appreciated for being classics. Like I remember when Wind Waker came out, like nobody cared for it, but it's such a fantastic game.
Yeah. I agree with you, but I think that's the same case that you get a lot of times for Mario games, where people are like, "It's stupid. It's a kid's game," like my brother. But then when like 5 years from now, he's gonna go play Mario Odyssey, and he's gonna be like, "Holy crap, this game's amazing!" You know what I mean? Yeah. It's one of those things you go back and you're like, because you just want the nostalgia of playing a Nintendo IP, and then you're like, "Wow, this game's actually good. Why did I not play this game?" Yeah. Like I could say that about so many GameCube games that I went back to, and they were like, "Whoa!" Like Luigi's Mansion is fire.
Yeah, the first Luigi's Mansion is so fire. Good.
By the way, I have Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon on here, not Dark of the Moon. I think Dark Moon is a pretty good sequel, and I enjoyed playing it.
I would even throw in Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2 on the GameCube.
That's a good choice. I don't even have that. I have no Star Wars games. I never even thought of that.
I know I didn't add any Star Wars games either. I don't think it really was.
Even in the more recent, Battlefront 2 is better than Battlefront 1. Star Wars, especially now.
Well, the original Battlefronts are still the best in my eyes.
Okay, but you got one?
Oh yeah, I've got. Well, this one I know you guys aren't alike, but I had to put on my list, my honorable mentions, and that's Halo 2.
That's the best Halo. So
yeah,
I'm not
going to argue with that one.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely had to put that in my honorable mentions. Like that was an amazing game, and I still to this day wish they did not put a life meter on the sword because I remember when they finally put like a meter on it, and I was like, come on. That's what I loved about Halo 2 was like jumping into multiplayer, and if you got your hands on that sword, oh man, you rip things apart, and it would never die. It would literally keep going. You know what I mean? Loved it. So, but that was one of my ones.
Paper Mario 2, Thousand Year Door.
Thousand Year Door. That's a good one.
That's an amazing,
very good one. Yes. I want to talk more about your number one though, which I forgot completely, was Diablo 2.
Do you want me to talk about it?
Yes, please, because Diablo 2 is probably the greatest. Like,
it's probably the best MMORPG that's ever been made. It's so like there's so much detail, and this is the thing. I've played the third one at like hundreds of hours. I played the first one very little, but the second one's a big improvement on the first one. There's so many callbacks, like when you go to save Cain, and he's in Tristram, which is the first town that that you're in Diablo 1, and now it's been destroyed. After you saved it, Diablo came back and they destroyed it.
Destroyed it. There's so much lore. Like
it runs deep. The level design is constantly changing. Every time you start a game, everything changes in the whole map.
Where the dungeons
the randomizing of drops. And the fact that it knows how much magic find you have and how much gold drop you have, and it's just like there's so much math in this game.
I like the randomizing of dungeon locations.
Yeah, I think that's epic.
It gives it replayability, and that's why you can sink so many hours into it. Is because yes, it's still the same game, but it's going to be slightly different every time.
The grind feels better because it's not like Pokemon where every time you walk into that cave, it's the same thing over and over and over and over, which Pokemon Yellow is a good sequel if you count that as a sequel. It's not really, but Yeah, Diablo 2 is my favorite sequel ever. I would argue that it's the best sequel ever made, and it still holds up to this day. And the new game looks amazing. If anyone's not played it in 4K, it looks so good. It's like fantastic graphics.
Looking forward to that. I haven't had a chance yet. Maybe now that Microsoft owns them, they may throw it on Game Pass.
Hey,
right?
You never know.
All right. Anything else, guys? Or is that?
I've still got.
You got a couple? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So I've got Elder Scrolls Skyrim.
Okay.
I mean, I felt like that was just like knocked the water. Borderlands 2.
I had Borderlands 2.
Yep.
That's good.
Uncharted 2.
Uncharted 2. I have
that was my number 4. Yeah.
And then this one, no one even knew that original one even existed for this game. They only know the sequel, actually, and that's Team Fortress 2. Like, I don't think anybody's even knows what Team Fortress 1 even looks like.
Well, TFC 1 is, I don't know why it was called TFC, but
yeah.
It was, I enjoyed the first one a lot. The second one is better. But we're going on Steam, Valve. Like how we had Half-Life, we had Portal, Counter-Strike 2.
You can even throw in Left 4 Dead 2 there.
Yeah, Left 4 Dead 2, AG 2. I mean, it keeps going. I
just don't know how to count to 3. That's all they don't know how to do.
I got a couple here. Donkey Kong 2, Donkey Kong Country 2.
Yeah. That's definitely a good one.
I mean, I guess you can say that's better.
It greatly improved on the first game. It's the third one where it got kind of
weird.
Right. Yeah.
But the third one is still good. Tomb Raider 2. I really like Tomb Raider 2. Even the modern Tomb Raider, the second one is good as well.
That was Rise of the Tomb Raider.
And for caps, Resident Evil 2. Did anyone else say Resident Evil 2?
No, because everybody would argue that Resident Evil 4 was like the best.
But I think up till 4, 2 was the best one.
Yeah, I don't think anybody at all in this podcast said Resident Evil 2 at all. So
except Caps, and he left.
Definitely not Putty's number 4. Or 3, but I'm really surprised you didn't have Silent Hill at number 1, because I struggled to have it not on my list. I really struggled to not put it on my list.
Well, here's the thing.
I wanted it on my list.
5. I had to put it on 5. So this was a hard list to do. Still, you know, I mean, all these games I named were games I played addictively, and there's one that you just I didn't even think of that didn't even go on my list when I should have capped it with Street Fighter 2, and that was Mortal Kombat 2.
Mortal Kombat 2, that was close to me too.
Way beyond better than the first Mortal Kombat, and that's the whole thing. Is back in the 80s, 90s, if you didn't know how to make the games better, then you usually weren't going to be successful in the long run, no matter what. You know what I mean? So all the sequels end up being better. But Silent Hill 2, I was going to put it top of my list, but the reason I didn't is because I was trying to go for, like I told you, the next groundbreaking game per one. So, like, for example, I would never say Grand Theft Auto 3 is my favorite sequel of all time. I would not say it's the best one, but when I was
putting it for iconography, I understand.
Yeah, like what was the better sequels?
It was revolutionary,
exactly. And that's the same thing with Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 2 was revolutionary, but if I was to do list, like Silent Hill 3 would even go higher than that in my eyes. I love Silent Hill 3, you know what I mean? So it would go higher on my list. Silent Hill 1 is just iconic. It's just 2 just knew better what to do, you know what I mean? And that's the same thing with Team NC, the arcade game. I'm looking at the one that came on consoles. If you really think about it, that's not really a sequel, but they counted it as a sequel. Remember? They literally said on NES cartridges they counted it as a sequel. So that's why I ended up getting capped on my list, because by far,
they didn't want it to confuse with the original TMNT game that was on the NES, so they called it 2.
Well, which I loved it. I beat it. It's hard as fuck, but yeah, that's definitely the better one.
I got different ones. Gran Turismo 2 I had, which was that's the one I put the most amount of hours into, probably of any racing game ever. I played that game. I got it in Florida on my PlayStation, double disc, and I bought it from Blockbuster. And I played that game nonstop for like 2-3 years. And it's just so good. Chrono Cross 2, I had time.
Yes, I was going to say Chrono Cross 2. I totally forgot that was the sequel to Chrono Trigger. And that was such a good game.
I bought a copy recently to have it. I'm very happy about that. But I think, so it seems unanimous that all 3 of us had Sonic 2 and Tony Hawk 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, see, here's the thing. Remember, Tony Hawk 2 was not actually on my main list. It was one of my high honorable mentions.
Oh, I thought you said it on your list.
No. Okay, no. It actually was.
Okay, well, Sonic 2 is on everybody's list.
Yes.
Yeah. Tony Hawk
the only one.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 was on my high honorable mentions, but it was the same thing like Silent Hill. it was one of those things where I liked 3 better than 2. You know what
Okay,
I mean?
but in terms of raw twos, and based on our lists and how different they are, but we all have Sonic 2. Are we willing to at least agree that Sonic 2 is arguably the best sequel to a first game?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
I would agree to that. I can agree to that because it's on all our lists. Yeah.
Yeah, and
for sure.
I feel like
Well,
it has to be.
It improved on what the first one was. The fact that they now added you could play with a friend now too. It's not just like you're playing by yourself. There you go.
Oh no.
Listen, if we're going to come into the Sonic world, I'm going to say this. There's so many things about Sonic that come into play here. So we're going to do it. I'm going to do it big, right?
Sonic got to go fast.
Oh, you should tell us. Give us a couple of the things that are better about Sonic 2.
Well, here's the thing. First and foremost, the one thing that was really bad about the first Sonic game was gaining momentum. When they brought in the spin dash, it changed everything. You know what I mean?
I agree so hard on that.
Yes.
When it came to that was a thing. But then the other thing that was lacking in Sonic was, while you had Super Mario Brothers that had you can play as Mario, then the second person plays Luigi, Sega was like, well, you know what? We're going to allow you to have the second player, but guess what? We're going to allow you to play both on the screen. And that second player is going to be invulnerable and can also help you fly. That opened up so many avenues of having fun with your friends when they play as Tails. And you could play with your little brother or someone that didn't know how to play the game and say, you could play as Tails. Don't worry, you're not going to die.
Didn't 2 have the bonus levels?
Yes. Okay. So that was the other thing I wanted to get. I was about to come into. It had the first 3D level that I ever saw in a video game, where you actually played in the 3D level, and you and your buddy both could be jumping around.
That was the ball one, right?
Yeah, you would rotate with each other.
So
one would jump.
Had the half pipe? Was that Sonic 3?
That's the half pipe one.
No, half pipe is the Sonic 2.
So which one was the ball that you ran across the ball?
The ones you're talking about, where you turn the ball.
Oh, that was that Sonic and Knuckles?
That was Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles, where you had to go across and collect all the blue spheres.
Yeah. Okay. So here's how the special stage were. The first special stage was the one where it's side scrolling and had like where you had to like go and not hit the sides of the walls that had the red balls. So it had all the walls and it was all like side, the side scrolling.
And you had to break the crystals to get the emerald in the middle.
Exactly. And then it was the half pipe. Then, of course, that's when we got into Sonic 3, and that's when it still had that 3D look, but it was instead you had to collect the balls, build the squares, get all the rings, and get in and basically turn all the orbs from blue to red. But yeah, my point to the thing is Sonic 2, and story-wise as well. If you remember in the first Sonic game, you had Sonic and Dr. Robotnik, but even though you didn't know the story, they were so much better about it because, like, for example, Dr. Robotnik's Death Egg machine, and like things like where he would go into it and fight these huge bosses that you wouldn't fight that were like, it felt like Robotnik's boss battles were so small.
In Sonic 2, is that when his name changed from Eggman to Robotnik?
Well, no, that actually
Eggman is a Japanese name.
Eggman is a Japanese name. They changed it to Dr. Ivo Robotnik in the States. And see what it is actually. They actually had, and I don't have it anymore, but originally when I was a kid, now this is an interesting story as a side note, is when they released the first Sonic game, they did a comic book that they released in magazine publications before the Archie comic came along, and in the story, Robotnik is actually the good guy. He actually is a scientist that Sonic runs into, and he is using the Chaos Emeralds, and he's wanting to help animal life. You know what I mean? And help them get like new limbs, things of that nature. But Sonic, he's super fast, and he ends up wearing out his shoes. iRobotnik, which his name was actually reversed, it was like Kintarbo or something like that. But he actually ends up giving him his shoes. His machine gets broken by Sonic because he goes too fast on a treadmill, which, by the way, in the comic, he's actually reading the Toe Jam and Earl comic. That's a whole thing. But basically, Sonic turns Robotnik evil by making him go mad, and all the emeralds and rings go everywhere. So then he is wanting to kill all animal life and trap them as robots. And that was the original storyline. They changed it quickly after that, but that was originally comic storyline they had. So originally, the reason they did that is because in the original book, if you look at the book, they actually said Robotnik was not going to be the good guy. Sonic didn't even exist when they first were going to make the game. It literally was Robotnik in pajamas. It is the weirdest thing ever. It was going to be Robotnik in pajamas. Then they brought out Sonic, and then he also had a girlfriend like Peach. It was named Madonna, and he was part of a band he was going to rescue.
That's too on the nose.
Yeah, so there's a lot I could go down the.
And that's the history of Sonic, kids.
Yeah, right. Oh, there's more. There's way more.
Story time on the history of Sonic.
But that's the reason why I say they were new with the first one, and Sonic 2 just did something so amazing. It literally was the competition that they needed to compete with Nintendo and Mario, and Sonic 2 was it on my eyes, honestly. So There you go.
I can't argue with that. Yeah, but I want to talk about Mass Effect 2 for a little bit if I can.
Yeah.
For me, Mass Effect, like it's BioWare, and the fact that they did the Knights of the Old Republic game, but then they lost the Star Wars IP. So they basically made a Star Wars game without Star Wars and lightsabers.
Mm-hmm.
It was more of a space, like
It's more Halo-y.
More Halo-y, but
Yep.
you want to throw in a little bit. You could probably throw in a little bit of Guardians of the Galaxy in there, where he has to go out and recruit a bunch of ragtag guys to create a team to go fight the big bad at the end of the.
That's a great game.
It is, and Mass Effect 2 is probably, I don't know. For me, it just improved so much more. Like it just expanded so much more on the first one as well. The lore, the exploration, the fact they got rid of that stupid Mako.
Yeah.
I'm boring Campo here. All right.
Yeah.
Anything else, guys, before we end this one here?
Sonic 2.
No. Sonic
No.
2.
Okay, so we'll all agree Sonic 2 is the greatest game sequel of all time. And that'll probably be the thumbnail of the video. So on that note, guys.
And that made Putty's day too.
Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you all next time.